All right, Scotty, we got somebody on this that's gonna, use it for its potential instead of just as a yard ornament. So we'll see how it goes. So the Motley Crew. So after Tom stripped out the transmission to the B1,
Sorry.
we're gonna put that back together and just pretend we didn't see it. Why wasting my money on this thing? I'm wondering, you think it was bad and Scotty knew it?
Oh, guaranteed. It made it like 40 feet.
Right? Like,
It was
what a piece,
definitely new.
what a piece of garbage. Alright, it's gonna be tight.
I mean, how much you want for this?
Dude, I'm gonna pull the motor, I think, and then just scrap it.
Okay, I'll give you a scratch price.
Why would you even want it then?
It didn't last very long.
That's embarrassing.
All right, we got the B1 in the shop. I went on a ride to Creepy Crawler's house. If you ever get an invite there, if he ever invites you to ride there, don't pass it up. If you're into the tractors and things, and he invites you to his place to go for a ride, it's usually super small groups. But if he does invite you, don't miss out on it. It's the trails out there are pretty amazing. So again, if you get the invite, don't miss out on it if you're into the tractor game like we are. So when we were out there, oh geez, it was me and Donnie and Andy and Sean, Red 02, and Creepy Crawler. And we were all out there. Boy, we had a good time. 2 days of riding. It was really good. Anyway, I took the B1, I took Ghost, and I took Charlie out there. On the first day, Tom had to put a belt on the workhorse. So Andy was riding Ghost, and I told Tom he could take the B1 out. And we were having a blast, and I know that he come up over a hill, and then all of a sudden something locked out in it. And then the high-low, we thought that the shifter ball went in between gears inside the transmission, which I've seen it happen before. So we ended up towing it back to the shop, pulled the stick out. Everything looked good that way, and then realized that the high-low shifter is jammed up in low. So I'm going to end up pulling this thing apart. I'm not going to film all of the pulling apart. We'll probably just jump back into when I get it apart, I would guess. If I see something funny, which, like I said, I've never tore into this machine. For those of you that don't know, I did buy this, the B1 off of Captain 315. I didn't get the motor with it. I have my own Kohler Oppie on it. It's a really good tractor, and it's always been a good tractor. But I do know that when you start tearing into other people's builds, sometimes you run into a hiccup of like, how the hell do I get this apart? How do I get this apart? So we'll see. We're going to get tearing into this thing. Get the rear end pulled out. Shouldn't take me too long. Again, though, it's somebody else's build, so I might run into things like whatever. I know I got to pull the battery out of it, I think. I don't know. Rip the fenders off and then we'll start figuring out what I need to do. Once I get into this transmission and I get it apart, I'll bring the camera back around and we'll see what happened. I'm thinking, I don't know, shift fork really bent, but he was just riding it, so that might be that something's broke off in there and jammed up. So we'll see. I know Scotty has the flipped pinion method on this, and it's not welded. Maybe a pinion tooth sheared off and got jammed up in there. I don't know. We won't know until we get it to it. So I'm going to get this yanked off, get it up on the bench, get it draining, so I can get it pulled apart. So that's where we're headed. All right, transmission's out. I pulled it apart. There's one case half there on the floor. There's the axle. So I found out what happened. All the way down in there, down in the bottom, is a there's supposed to be a bearing a needle bearing like that one. Okay, so the seal went bad. I mean, here's what's left of the seal. The seal went bad, introduced water, dirt, grime, whatever, into that needle bearing, and then it just completely tore up. So there's needle bearing pieces in there underneath that ball bearing. So then what happened is those needle bearings got into here and got in between a couple gears, which are here for your high-low transfer, and exploded that gear. That gear's on a pin, you got to drive it out. So I'm not going to do that. I am lucky enough, well, lucky enough, I get relative term, I guess. I have a spare case half from other things. So I have this case half that I'm going to use. It's got a good gear in it down there. So I'm going to put all these back. All these gears look good. I'm going to put them all back into this one. So with these detents, so this is your high-low shift fork. It's actually thick and in good shape and doesn't seem bent, maybe a little bit. But I'm going to pull this detent pin out. Watch you don't lose your spring in your ball. And then I'm going to stretch that spring a hair. I've done this before. I stretch it a hair so it puts more pressure in these detent. And then I will also do that with the actual shifter when I put the spring in here for these shifting detents for the gears. I'll stretch that spring out a little bit, pushes that ball a little bit harder into the detents, and helps hold it in gear a little bit. So that's where we're headed. I got a tire rubbing like crazy over here.